there, welcome back. This is part 2 of a 2-part series called Align and Achieve. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I went ahead and linked that in the description below. This is part 2. So in part 1, we focused on a reflection of the past quarter and really allowed us to observe and analyze where we are right now and what we've been experiencing in the last few months. And at the end of part 1, we took sort of a subjective assessment to quantify our level of satisfaction in different areas of our lives. So in part 2, we are building upon that momentum. We are using that reflection to make intentional goals about how we want the next quarter or 3 months to go. If this is something that you like, that you enjoy moving toward and progressing toward your goals and continuing to achieve more and more satisfaction and joy and success in your life, then go ahead and join us in the Yoga Habits for Self-Care group community on Skool, because that is where we are going to continue these conversations and even do a monthly revisit to help us stay on track for our goals. So I did cut some portions of this replay out just to protect some of the private conversations that we had in our session, but I did keep the entire instructional portion of it. So you can definitely follow along, and I hope that you do. I hope you find great success in setting intentional goals for the upcoming quarter, and I hope to see you in our community so we can build on this progress in quarter 2. Alrighty, let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Alrighty, so today we are going to pick up where we left off in yesterday's session. So as a recap, yesterday we did a guided reflection to just look back on the last 3 months from a place of observation, just to realize the things that did happen. We wanted to express gratitude and embrace that feeling of gratitude for all of the things that were positive that happened to us over the last 3 months. And we really wanted to let go and try to process anything that we don't want to hold on to from the last 3 months. And toward the end of our session, we looked at the pie of life, which gave us an opportunity to review the different categories and areas of our life and use our own subjectivity to rate our satisfaction and sort of quantify how satisfied we are in each of those categories. So today we're going to kind of pick up from there. I don't have like organized slides or anything, but I do have a couple images that I can pop up just so we have something to look at. It's basically kind of a mishmash of different presentations that I've done related to these, but I figure, hey, these are good visual aids. Might as well use them. So we looked at the pie of life yesterday, and we kind of gave ourselves a rating of satisfaction in each of these categories: self-love, productivity, 3 different types of relationships, our career satisfaction, our hobbies and our fun, health and fitness, financial security, and values. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start to prioritize what areas we do want to make progress toward improving, and we're going to end with some things scheduled on our calendar. So we're going to make this a really productive time, but we're not going to let this get overwhelming because we're really only going to look at about a 3-month window. I think when we look at some of these categories, or when we try to set goals in general, it can feel really big when we think about what you want to do or how you want to be 5 years from now. Those are all really wonderful exercises, and just like our reflection, goal setting is an accordion. We can spend a lot of time and detail on this, or we can try to make it succinct And that's our goal for this session. We want to keep it a little more succinct so that we can keep it actionable, because where the rubber hits the road, where this really becomes effective and important to us, is when we integrate this into our lives and come back to it in a month from now and see where we are. And we look at how things are put on our calendar, what sticks, what doesn't, and we modify from there. So this is step one, but the real benefit comes by making this more of a habit and being on the journey long term. So let's take a couple minutes just to ground ourselves, get us back in the mindset of where we want to be. So we're going to take just a moment to connect with our breath, connect with our mind, connect with our purpose for doing this. So find your comfortable seat, sit nice and tall, roll the shoulders down your back. We'll pause. I'm going to pause the screen sharing here for just a moment. And let's just sit tall, maybe softly close the eyes. Let the spine feel active, like it's about to move or lift or do something. Not passive, just sitting back and relaxing, but like we're going to take an action. Because that's what this is all about, getting into action toward the improvements or the version of ourselves that we want to continue to work towards. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and letting everything go through the mouth. Allowing each breath to bring in newness, vitality, energy, and the future. And with every exhale, gracefully releasing the past with gratitude. For every breath is the future, and every exhale is the past. Now, we start this exercise today from a sense of wholeness. We are amazing and happy and a fantastic version of ourselves in this very moment. But because the future is always in front of us, we have agency. We have control over what directions we take, how fast we move, how far we go. And we have endless opportunities to recalibrate and come back to what our true purpose, what our true desires and intentions are for life. With every reflection, we can see where we've been. And with every intention, we can choose where to go. So, with that framing in mind, allow this exercise to be fun, to be light, to be exciting, to give us opportunities to find more joy and more satisfaction and more pride in ourselves as we step forward in this journey of life. Coming back to the room that surrounds us, coming back to the body. Take another deep inhale through the nose and a cleansing exhale, open mouth, sigh it out. And then we can open our eyes and look at what is in front of us. Alrighty, so when we look at the categories in our pie of life, usually they start to spur up some feelings. They might make us excited, make us remember things that we perhaps didn't do or wanted to do in these different areas. Or they can also lead us to having some regrets. And that's okay. It's okay to reflect on things that from our past and realize that we could have done things differently or better. But this is an opportunity for us to make some of those changes toward that progress. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at our pie of life and we're just going to pick a couple of categories that we feel most driven to improve or we feel most excited to continue to make progress in. Now, as we go through this, there is one thing I want us to keep in mind. Sure, we can set some goals about what we want to achieve in these categories in the next 3 months. Now, goals, depending on the category, might not be easily quantifiable. For example, how do you quantify self love or productivity or relationships or a lot of these really? Sure, you can say my goal is to work out 3 days a week. That's quantifiable. But some of these don't have things that you can easily quantify. So, what we can quantify is the number we wrote down as our level of satisfaction. We can say, I want to go from a 5 to a 6 in this level of satisfaction. And then we get to decide what it takes to get there. So, we are going to look at this with a framing of goals, but I want to make one distinction before we make our decisions. I have a different slide on a different presentation somewhere that I found that I was like, oh, hey, this is good. There it is. Okay. So what is the difference between a goal and an intention? Because we do want to set some goals, but we have to have an intention behind that goal. Otherwise, we'll never achieve it. So before we decide what we want to prioritize, sure, we will decide those goals. Those goals will end up being some sort of external outcome that we wish to achieve. Oh, I'm not showing my screen. Let me put that back up. Now that I found it. So a goal is something focused on the future. So we know to achieve a goal, it's going to be in the future and it's going to be something that we want to work towards, something that we're going to try to achieve. And intention is more present focused. So it is an internal state of being. These come back to our values that we want to embody in the present moment. And this helps us cultivate awareness and live mindfully with awareness. So we know what's happening and we know what decisions we're making and why we're making them. So as we come back to our pie of life, we will set some goals, but we want to select categories that really align with our intentions, our values, because if we can't recommit to these intentions toward this goal on a daily, weekly basis, then it just becomes another thing we wrote down that we maybe have on a vision board or that we hope to achieve, but it doesn't really get us any closer to achieving it. So, with those definitions in mind, let's go ahead and just take a look at our list and answer for ourselves, what are some areas that I'm hoping to make some improvements? And what are those improvements? Maybe it's just increasing the number from 5 to 6 or whatever it is. Or maybe there's something tangible that we can set up as a goal. If it's something more financial or health and fitness, something more quantifiable, then we can set a goal that's a little easier to quantify. So we're going to take a couple minutes here and just select a couple. Now, there's one quote that I have on here that I think is important to remember. If we prioritize everything, we prioritize nothing. So it is important to say, I'm going to let go of these other categories or just let them stay on autopilot wherever they are right now. And I'm going to intentionally improve this 1, 2, or 3 areas of my life. Now, I'd say 3 maximum because depending on what it is, you might be able to multitask some of these. But if it's something that requires a lot of your effort and attention, then you probably want to keep it to one category that you want to work on. Alrighty. Have you finished selecting your 1 to 3 categories?
Yes, I have.
All right. What are mine? I guess mine are financial security, health and fitness. That's been a huge focus of mine lately. And I'm in a phase where I'm really focusing on productivity in terms of like organizing my house. I feel like I am always drowning in paperwork and just stuff everywhere and storage bins getting filled up and left or it's just so I'm really about late like this season I'm really into minimizing and organizing and minimizing and organizing over and over and over again until I feel like everything that I own fits in my house in a place and I can just let it go. Alrighty, so now that we have our categories, what we're going to do is we're going to try to create some sort of statement or it's kind of a goal statement of what we hope to achieve, and we have to keep in mind we're only giving ourselves 3 months. We're not going to win unless we win the lottery. We're not going to solve everything in 3 months, so we want to look at what we're trying to achieve and making it attainable for the time frame that we're looking at. And that's the point of coming back to these quarterly or monthly is we're not setting goals that are huge that we're like, "Oh yeah, I'll get to that in 6 months because it's a year-long goal." We want to make these small enough that we can achieve them within the next 3 months. So, where do I think I have a slide for that somewhere. While I'm looking for the visual aid, what we want to do is for each category, we want to think about a statement that we can say about what we're trying to do within that category. So whether that comes to our quantifiable amount or whether it comes to our level of effort that we're going to put forward. So for example, financial security, let's just use an example. If my intention is to improve my goal, my level of satisfaction and financial security, maybe my goal is I'm going to set aside, an automatic transfer from my paycheck to my savings account every month. Or I'm going to, if it's something that's a little more intangible, like fun or hobbies, I'm going to, you don't have to say what they are yet, but I'm going to schedule 4 outings in the per month that I am going to get out of my house and go meet new people, or I'm going to, join a group. So we can keep it kind of vague and kind of high level, but we want to start to wrap somewhat of a framework around what this intention and what this goal is. We know we want to improve it, but in what ways do we want to start to try to improve it? So let's take a couple of minutes and just start to put a little bit of a definition behind that improvement. All right, so we are thinking about what the highest level of intention, meaning the broadest intention, the broadest changes we want to make to this category. From there, we're going to try to get a little more specific. So, for each of our categories, we're going to look at potentially a monthly focus. So, this means that, maybe there are some things that we want to do every month that we want to start this month. Maybe there's a progression that we want to make where it's month 1, I want to try this. Month 2, I'm going to try this. Month 3, I'm going to try that. We're going to try to get just a little bit more specific about how we can achieve that goal statement. Now, it's going to depend on what the statement is. This is not necessarily a rigid structure, but let's look at some things that we can do to make this more specific. So we can either make a monthly priority. So my priority for month number 1 is to do A. My priority for month number 2 is to do B. It can be something that we're trying to build a habit around. So by month 1, I'm trying to do it 1 day a week. By month 2, I'm trying to do it 2 days a week, and so forth. So we can find different ways that we're going to make this a little more specific. But what I also want us to consider is, as we're thinking about adding things to our schedule or to our brain for making these intentions, what can we start to say no to? What are some things, it's not just about adding things to our brains and our schedules. Where can we also find areas that we can scale back, whether it's scaling back a different category, a different priority, a different thing on our schedule? Perhaps we want to get a little better at saying no to some things or some people that might be occupying a lot of our time and energy, which can be very difficult. So this is not just about adding things to our plate. What can we remove from our plate on this monthly basis? So we can look at it from a monthly basis, or we can break it down to a weekly basis or even a daily basis if we know this is something that happens to us every single day. So where can we start to get a little bit more specific in how this is going to show up in our lives to help us achieve that goal statement? And again, it's very gray because every goal statement is going to be a little different. And we need this to be flexible. We're not trying to make ourselves fit our goals into a box. I know the SMART goal, which I have that on a slide too, I think somewhere. Yeah, I know SMART goals are amazing and they have their place. They do. I don't think every goal falls into a SMART goal bucket. I think
And
it's a great
intentions definitely do not need to be SMART goals.
They don't. Exactly right. But what do intentions need to be? Well, they can turn into our habits and our tasks. So this is how we get even more specific. When we start to look at how we need to change some of our behaviors to achieve this goal statement, we'll call it, what are some of the habits that we have to come back to? And what are some of the tasks? So, what's the difference between a habit and a task? A task is something that you can check off one time. I organized my closet. I can check that off the list. I'm not going to organize my closet every single Wednesday. That's not realistic.
Right.
But what is a habit? A habit is something that we want to come back to and build and maintain consistency around.
So the first Wednesday of every month, you will reorganize your closet.
Or for every day when I wake up, I'll brush my teeth. Every morning after I drop off my kids, I'm going to walk the dog. Every time I get back from walking the dog, I'm going to make a green smoothie. Every time I work out, I'm going to take a shower. So what are some of the habits that you're going to do on a regular basis that you want to build? And I've been doing a lot of research on habits for my own enjoyment. But because this group is called Yoga Habits for Self-Care, I am actually a big nerd when it comes to habits. I have the book Tiny Habits and I have the book Atomic Habits, and they both teach a lot about the science of behavior. And so when we think about habits, these are things that we want to be able to start super duper small to make them so easy that they are a no-brainer. And then we can start to build on those positive behaviors to make stronger, more beneficial and impactful habits. So sure, I started with brushing my teeth every time I woke up, but now I not only brush my teeth, I also wash my face every morning. Look at that, I added on to it. So there's different things that you can add on to habits. I'm not saying that every single day needs to be completely scripted, but when there's areas that we decide we want to make improvements, we have to figure out what are the behaviors that we're going to change to make those improvements. And some of them are a check mark. I made an appointment with a financial planner to give me some feedback on what to do with my money. That's a task. We checked that off the list and we did it. We don't have to do that every time we do something else. There are definitely things that we can make as recurring tasks, like, hey, every Friday I want to, look at my bank statements and look at my credit card statements and look at what I'm doing. That's amazing. But am I doing that after lunch every Friday? Because then that becomes a little bit more of a habit, because it's like, I did lunch and now I'm doing this. That makes it stronger because you're attaching it to a behavior that you're already doing. So again, what we're doing is we're taking our big goal and we're finding ways to make it specific and figuring out ideas for how we can integrate it into our existing life. Because behavior change, the biggest struggle with behavior change is, we think about this beautiful end result, this beautiful goal that we have, and we imagine all the amazing things that will happen when we achieve that goal. And then we come back to our daily life of like not doing that right now. And we don't know how to take the baby steps to get to the big climb at the end. And so this is about finding out the baby steps and really focusing on the baby steps. Enough baby steps will get you up a mountain. You don't have to, you can crawl all the way up a mountain. It's achievable. It's when we stop that we lose momentum. But if we keep going, no matter how slowly, we will get there. So I will pause for a moment, and we are going to think about how we can turn these big ideas into actionable things on our calendar. And this is also where we want to have a sense of experimentation and a little bit of fun and a little bit of gracefulness, a little bit of grace. So when we think about these schedule adjustments, whether it's a task or a habit, we might think that, if I don't do it the first time, it's not going to stick. So we want to give ourselves a little bit of grace, make this a little fun, and just, we'll come back to this maybe in a month. Maybe you can come back to it daily or weekly, and we'll just give it some feedback, and we'll see how we want to change it. These are not set in stone. So that's where we want to come back to our mindfulness of like, this is all just intention based. We're just trying different things to get to that area of improvement. But if we stay focused on it, we will find what works for us. All right, I just looked at the time. So let me move on to our last point, which is some optional affirmations or quotes. Now, these might not be relevant for what you're working on, but what I will say is it's really helpful to find affirmations and quotes that really align with the goals that you're trying to set, and maybe posting them in different places to help you stay focused and return back to your intention. Perhaps you wrote down an intention for each of these goals, or at least in your goal statement. So maybe writing those down in a place where you can see them really frequently will give you a way to come back to them. Positive affirmations can just be a way to remind yourself that this is an ongoing process. It's supposed to be fun. We're adding joy to our lives. We're not holding ourselves accountable in the sense that we're going to be judgmental or add stress. but we're just going to maintain intention toward our ideal versions of ourselves by taking tiny little baby steps. So I'll actually post this in our community as a way to potentially save it if that's helpful. But if some of these land, then that's amazing. And if they don't, then that's okay too. You can always go back and find some. I have a little motivational affirmation day chart, day calendar that I flip through, and it has all kinds of different affirmations and quotes. And I've used the same one for 3 years. And I mean, I don't even do it every day. It's like, oh yeah, I haven't changed it since March 18th. Apparently it's still on that day. But it's a fun way to go back and just kind of give yourself a little boost of confidence or a little boost of, yeah, I can do this. Because, some days are going to be harder than others. And it's important that we give ourselves some grace along the way.
One of my favorite affirmations right now is I embrace progress, not perfection.
That's one of my go-tos for sure. And I always find different ways to say it in my head too. So today I worked out and I just said to myself, hey, progress is progress. Progress is progress. It's all I can ask for. It's just one step closer, 1% better. It's all we need to strive for is 1% better. And we will eventually get to 10% or 50% or even maybe 100% if we want to.
Yep. And you can get there 1 point at a time.
You sure can. And it's about just coming back to it. So that this affirmation I love too. I trust myself to return again and again, or begin again and again. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Nobody is keeping score. Nobody.
My willpower is renewable.
Yep. So with that, let's just reground ourselves to close things out and come back to our center, come back to ourself. Maybe let's put both hands on our chest and feel the presence of our heart beating, of our blood flowing, of our lungs converting oxygen into carbon dioxide, and knowing that everything is always moving forward. Time is always moving forward, but only 1 second at a time. We are never too late. We are never done. We are never behind. As long as we are continuing to breathe, we have agency and we can make choices. And the sky is the limit, but there is no expectation. So coming back to our potential, coming back to our intentions. Coming back to this present moment. We are everything we have experienced, and we have infinite potential and opportunities before us. Let's take a moment to feel a sense of gratitude for everything that makes us unique. All the struggles we've been through, all the highs that we've enjoyed, everything that we've learned along the way. And then let's look forward with a sense of giddiness and excitement for all that is potentially possible for us. And then let's feel a little sense of strength in our arms, in our hearts, to move forward and take what we deserve, what we are committed to earning. And then let's come back to this present moment. Take one more deep breath and just sigh it out. coming back to the room that's around us. Alrighty, my friend, there you have it. You have now completed the two-parter sessions of the Align and Achieve workshop. I hope you found value in that exercise. I hope that you were able to set some goal statements and try to break them down into achievable habits and tasks and get them on your calendar. I would love to help you continue with your progress and build on this momentum in our Yoga Habits for Self-Care community. So join us with the link below, and I will hopefully see you in there. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your day.